The following is a fan-based discussion. All materials discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, Saban Entertainment, and Tsuburaya Productions.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another Tokutalk.
Hello, people! Don't do this. I was like, I felt the competition going on. Don't do it.
Hi, everybody.
Hi everybody.
Yes, as we said last time, we did our Showa Heisei talk for Super Sentai. This time we're going to do it for the Showa Heisei Kamen Rider.
Because it's so much easier to do it for Kamen Rider.
Yes, because there is a very big distinction between...
There's a lot less of it, for one.
Before Kuga and after Kuga. Moving on.
You're not wrong.
Nope.
Let's go ahead and start in the Showa.
Yeah.
Woo, those first couple of shows are just like, okay.
Shocker. And by the way, Shocker. And
Shocker's first.
Shocker. Also, I was at one of my first times going to a convention as a Toku fan. They did there was a panel called The History of Kamen Rider, where he pretty much summed up all of 40 years of Kamen Rider. And for the first one, he goes, so their plan is to make a super soldier and brainwash him. But for some reason, they do the super soldier part first and not the brainwashing. And they continue to make this mistake for a few years.
Exactly.
You'd think they'd learn.
Shocker isn't coming back.
It's like an X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yeah.
We should wipe his memories now after we've given him the adamantium.
Why?
They basically just end up doing Shocker, various iterations of Shocker, all the way up until Black RX. We're not kidding. It's like Black got a little bit away from it, and then they brought it back with Black RX.
Yep.
And the thing is, the only thing that really connects all of them together is the fact that the guy who voices the big bad of Shocker voices the bad guy of almost every single show afterwards.
Really?
It's always him. That's the connection. So
good for him for getting the work.
Yeah,
Seriously,
they
continuity.
keep bringing him back.
We like you. We're going to use you again.
In terms of story, bare bones.
The story is there are bad guys, kill they ass.
Yeah. And it's
and then rinse, lather, repeat.
There are no
until
form
you
changes,
have no hands and your bones are all that is left.
but they end up using a lot of different random techniques. Remember when we watched V3?
Yeah.
That was his big thing. Just use a bunch of techniques and we got to see him train.
And scream, V3!
Yeah.
And then you have Super One, who is all about martial arts and the electronic hand.
And saying one in one breath for 45 seconds.
Yes. That's more the theme song, not him.
Yeah. And that's the thing that we loved about V3.
Yeah.
Seeing him actually have to go out and work and just be a great character.
Mm-hmm.
This show didn't have to have a lot of story.
And then he gets stronger.
Great. Oh.
Don't forget Amazon, though.
Oh, yeah.
Amazon shook things up a little bit.
Amazon did.
Not a good show, but it tried. It tried something different, which I appreciate.
I love that,
it knocked its head off.
Oh my god, it's so great!
For those...
so cheap.
Go back and watch our Amazon review. That's the first episode I'm on. Hashtag shameless plug. Go ahead and watch that one. The episode with the ant monster, you can...
See the hand that pushes
Amazon
the head off.
knocks the monster's head off, but when the head falls off, you can very clearly see the hand
and
go...
It is glorious.
It's one of the best...
it's because it's so cheap and so badly shot. It feels like just a B movie.
It feels like a fan film.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, how did this make it to air?
But that doesn't matter because it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
We only got one shot at this. Whatever we get, we're stuck with.
I think you're right. Then we haven't watched X, which I was sort of sad about.
It isn't subbed because...
Yeah, it's not subbed. I think Kamen Rider, the first one, is now fully subbed.
Oh, cool.
We haven't watched Sky Rider.
That's a lot, though.
We haven't watched Sky Rider or Super One yet. And I really want to watch Super One and Sky Rider, although apparently he's super weak, but he beat Kabuto, so we don't talk about that.
Because he can fly?
That's bullshit. But let's talk about Stronger really quickly.
It sucked.
It's Stronger himself,
mm-hmm.
Okay character.
Stronger himself, okay character. Tackle, okay-ish character. Yeah, that's it.
Let me get into my super form. Get the bicycle pump.
But then we end up getting to, we also
great.
Zekros exists.
Zekros.
But let's talk about Black, because he's the
best
big
of
winner
show.
of the show.
He's kind of the best that show I had.
The crown jewel of the show era.
He really is. It was a character-driven show. It introduced multiple forms for Kamen Riders, and it made you care about a bike.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck else can you say?
You can ruin it.
You could ruin it with the next show, which was Black RX.
It's hold on, this show isn't doing so good. Let's go ahead and bring back the other writers at the very end of this show. Oh, wait, they can't save it. It's too late. And not to mention, none of the actors came back to voice themselves.
Nope.
So the people who they got to voice the other writers don't sound like them.
Nope.
And it's hilarious.
And this is one of the first times this ever happened.
Yeah.
Where you had the writers come back.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's not him.
But there are 3 others. We got Shin, Zio, and Jay.
Shin is my favorite.
Shin is a good movie. That felt like if they would have went farther with it, would have been great.
It's a Kamen Rider movie, but it's a monster movie.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
And it's just so good. But, I mean, of course with Black Works, we get our first form changes.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Stronger. We got our first, final form with Shiny I don't know what his name is. Shiny Stronger. Oh, that's what I'm going to call him now.
He sparkled when he came out of the Pokeball.
Yeah. But, Shin,
He's
Zio, and
shiny.
Jay. Zio was very basic. But it worked in that movie, strangely enough. Because, everything else around it was sort of messed up. Especially that one monster that he fought. The spider lady, I think her name was.
Oh, yeah.
And he just, that whole thing was horrifying. Because it was...
you also hate spiders, so...
It was like a puppet. And they had moving mandibles with a face inside of it. And, pieces kept getting broken off it.
That I remember.
I was just like, could we not? And then we got the awesome J movie with the...
Jay was okay.
With the most
I just
over-the-top
remember the
rider kick ever.
I just remember the rider kick. That was the big thing.
That's the
about
thing
that
we
movie.
remember the most because it's a 50-foot Kamen Rider.
Coming down from the stratosphere.
And, with his foot burning up upon re-entry and then kicking you in the face.
And it's cool.
Of course, he's also holding a little girl in his hand.
It somehow doesn't
Well,
care.
no. He just puts her on the ground. And then jumps.
I know, but he gets hit earlier.
Yeah.
And he goes, flying, however long it is.
Dead.
And then he looks at his hand
But
and she's okay when there should just be, a smear.
Bladder.
But we talked about that in our Kamen Rider
We did.
review, which you should go watch.
Now, then we end up getting onto the Heisei era, which is so different.
With
Kuga
Start off with Kuga.
gave us so many form changes in that show.
And it was still a great show because it wasn't about the villains, wasn't about the monster. It was about
The
Kuga.
characters.
It was a character-driven show.
And it's very J-drama-esque, but it's just, it worked so well in that show.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing, him have to grow, seeing his powers grow
Mhm.
with him as he learned to just adapt to situations.
This is the first time since Black, I feel, that we've really gotten to care about the character this much.
Yeah.
We really care about him and his struggle and what's going on. We care about the side characters.
Yeah.
We actually care about what's going on.
Yeah. And,
It's not just here's monsters, let's fight them.
And, we don't end up spending a lot of time on monsters.
Mm-hmm.
They just go out and kill people. It's a game to them.
Yeah.
And, I watched the clip the other day of our favorite Kuga episode.
Oh yes, with the
The best thing
piss
about
off
rewatching
Kuga.
that show, watching that scene, is just seeing the police around and like, I'm gonna back the fuck up.
okay, I'm gonna just
You're
go.
under a nope.
Sir, I'm just gonna go.
The police are basically just sitting there like,
It's like the fucking scene from John Wick where the guys invade his house, the cop shows up and he goes, noise complaint. He sees the corpse and he goes, you working again? I'm gonna go. And he literally just goes,
Not a bad comparison.
have a nice evening.
John, you working again? No, just sorting some stuff out.
it's just,
Have a nice evening, bye.
Kuga is just such a, it's
They
very
call him Kamen
Showa
Rider Baba Yaga.
esque. Kuga's a very Showa esque.
It is Showa.
It is.
Because,
It was a great transition to the new era.
and this is the last one that Ishinomori had anything to do with before his passing.
Oh.
And
It's
you can see his
a great
influence.
one to leave off on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see his influence in the show.
Went out with a lovely swan song.
And Kuga's such a great show.
And then we get to Agito.
Where we end up, our first, well, not really our first because we did have Nico.
Yeah.
But this is the first one where we had more than just 2 writers in the show.
Yep.
Especially with Kuga not having any extra writers, but they have a detective who basically worked with the
We
second
opened up
writer.
with our secondary writer.
Yeah. With G3. And
G3.
then later on we ended up getting Gills and, actually, let's go back to Kuga really quickly, because that's the first time that we really got just final form. And they allude to it throughout the show.
Mm-hmm.
It's just in the episode where he draws the sword straight through the guy's everything.
Yeah.
We, in that explosion at the end of it, we get to see Ultimate there.
Yep.
This is his ultimate form, and it's great seeing, him being afraid of that, seeing what he could become, is glorious. That's going to be another Tokutalk, but final forms are definitely going to be a thing.
Yeah.
With Agito, Kuga introduced the final form at the very end of the show. It's last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Then we ended up getting with Agito, where you start getting them in the mid-30s.
We had a mid-season upgrade.
Yeah, we had a mid. Oh well, let's talk about that. Burning stays there for about 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And then we get Shining.
Shining.
Everybody starts getting upgrades.
This is really the Kamen Rider that set the precedent of the kind of the formula we have now. Base form, other 3 forms for different weapons and styles, mid-season power-up, final form.
Mm-hmm.
Now this does that. That's more the standard now.
Yeah.
We didn't end up getting that broken with Ryuki.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
But Ryuki
was just we have a lot of riders. This is a war.
Completely different kind of show.
People are dying. And
multiple times somehow.
Thanks, time travel. But and then at that point, it's just we end up getting to survive and everything. And it's story-based, but it's also a very character-driven show at the same time.
Yeah.
I think Ryuki sort of gets that balance more or less correct. In some cases.
Yeah. But then we kind of hit that...
Fies. It's a character-driven show, yeah. But...
God, the show sucks.
It's sort of messy. When we end up getting something like a strict jump from Ryuki, where it's just these people are fighting for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They have a goal that they're going for at the end. It's just we're not really sure exactly what they're fighting about in Fies.
Mm-hmm.
Except that everybody seems to hate everybody else.
Everyone hates everybody, and they're all terrible at communicating.
But instead of trying to compare one show to the other in the same era, let's just try to stay on topic and compare the eras to each other.
Yeah.
With Heisei, we're getting this more modern look of toys. Toys
are always a thing with riders. But it's just this is where we start getting an overabundance of them. And I feel like that really starts to happen actually sort of with Ryuki.
Did you buy them toys?
Too, because there's so many riders.
Yeah,
they have all their riders, you have all
the
their
cards.
All the beasts.
And all the cards that you have to get.
Belts and everything.
That really starts to become a thing in Fies. Where we they're just cards, but they all have the same signature belt. With Fies, Kaixa, Saiga,
they're all different belts.
They're all different belts.
Mm-hmm.
And they have different weapons. And this feels like sort of when the toys started to become a much more prevalent thing, but they're not so prevalent, they don't seem nearly as prevalent as they do in show. They're sort of just there, they're sort of understandable power-ups in show. With Blade, that's sort of the same thing. Hibiki, it's awesome. Kabuto.
We're back to the same signature belt, but a different bug.
Yeah.
And so the toys really weren't a thing. It
didn't feel like they were as much of a thing.
No. But they were trying something new with the whole cast on, cast off thing.
Yeah. That's what
and we're still only getting the base form and the final form, really.
And then we get into Dino, where they have a lot of belts. A lot of belts.
Not just a lot of belts, but a lot of supporting characters that you could easily make into action figures.
Yeah. Those toys just there. And then we get to Kiva, where they really drew back on the toys, actually.
Yeah.
And then, Emperor came along and with an annoyance. It's just a problem. Decade was just okay, here's all the cards, here's his K-Touch,
go.
Henshin. And then, we're actually going to give you sort of more toys with an extra card from a Sentai that same year. Because of Shinkenger.
Because they crossed over. And not to mention, we're going to now, we brought back all of these other old Kamen Riders, so now we get to sell them again.
It's true. Then there is a split, because with Sentai there isn't really as much of one, but there's a definite difference between
Kamen Rider and
neo-heisei,
which is after
W.
Yeah.
Where we started to really get collectibles as a thing with the Gaia memories.
The Gaia memories, the core medals, the switches,
the
rings.
Lock seeds, the cars, the shift bikes.
The shift cars, the shift bikes, fucking got shots.
Icons,
and now
we have
bottles.
Who knows what Zeo's is going to be. But it's just collectibles.
It'll be toys to life.
Yeah, the collectibles started becoming just sort of overabundant after a little bit, especially when a lot of them didn't get left behind. This is the problem that I ended up having with Bill, because they literally got left behind in a box.
The bottles? Yeah. They're now a plot point and not a henshin device.
Yeah, which sort of ends up taking away from, you push them so far forward at the very beginning of the show, and now you don't. Which is
there's a lot of commenters that do that with their collectibles. Once the mid-season power-up or the final form gets introduced, the combinations of the collectibles mattered very little.
Which is sort of sad. And that's what really makes me like Kuga just a lot more.
Except also Forze did it good, because his we introduced the collectibles into the final form.
Yeah, and Gaim did this as well.
Gaim did this as well.
X8 didn't, but it worked for the show.
And fucking Ghost tried.
Ghost attempted. And then they just got a whole new final form.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to give him a new belt for Grateful, and then do nothing with it once he gets his final form. This is why Grateful shouldn't have been his final form. Would have made sense for everything that we built up, and now we just have an Infinity, and then we don't use it at the end.
Infinity again.
But, like I said, with X8, it worked. Because it's a Game Shark.
It's a Game Shark. It's the fucking star in Mario. It worked. But
in terms of story...
But once again, we're comparing shows to shows.
Story, like just overall, it got very formulaic for quite some time.
I would argue it's been formulaic from the start.
Well, it should...
But
the formula just keeps changing.
Monsters of the Week and Victims of the Week, especially in Deno, just started to become a major thing.
Yeah.
Wizard was just...
We went from Monster of the Week to Victim of the Week.
Yeah, it's like we had Monster and Story.
Which, honestly, I prefer Victim of the Week over Monster of the Week. Because
I don't.
Because it depends on how it's done. Because when you have Victim of the Week, you can kind of focus on the characterization of that person.
But that's
versus Monster of, I want to take over the world!
Like, in something, Victim of the Week...
We did a whole, rantocast on this.
Yeah.
With Victims of the Week, that's the problem, is you're focusing and developing these characters who are going to be there for 2 episodes and then you never see them again.
Forza actually sort of did this correctly.
Wizard tried.
Wizard. Frank Wizard. Okay, but yeah, Forza, you bring them back later and they wind up being a big help later and they help him win at the end.
Greatest
thing
about that entire goddamn show.
I really need to finish Forza.
That movie is great.
Oh yeah, that movie was fantastic.
But you compare that to a Monster of the Week where we can, instead of developing a character we're never going to see again, let's develop our hero and just have the monster be an obstacle they have to overcome.
Yeah, I feel like X8 actually did this really well, especially at the beginning when they focused more on Monster of the Week.
Mm-hmm.
Wizard did not. And neither did... what's a good one for this? W to an extent.
W, though, it made a little bit more sense because they were detectives. They're solving cases, and I think we got enough character development in that one that it didn't take away from it too much as compared to something like Wizard, where every single episode is like, let's introduce this character and give them a backstory
and then
give them other supporting characters who are involved with them.
Why do they let the monsters get away? This is the problem I've been having with
this is another thing I hate.
It's just like, why? He's there. Stop. He's walking. Do something about it!
That's another thing, because in Showa, we didn't have a lot of two-parters.
No, we didn't.
Not a lot of two-parters. They'd fight the monster, and he'd be dead, and then move on to the next one.
But that was... The main difference is the time period that these shows were airing. When the Kamen Rider, Showa stopped when? The 80s? They took a break in the 90s?
Yeah, right after Black X.
So, in those days, a kid's show wasn't meant to be an overall story. It was a... weekly thing.
I don't know if we could say that.
In
Changeman, Flashman, Maskman to an extent, Live Man.
Well, it depends on the show.
It depends on the show, but I'm talking about the majority of shows that are being aired to kids in the 80s weren't always meant to be things that are too deep. It was how's he going to get out of this one? How's he going to do it this week? Tune in next time, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, but then when we cut the 90s, where all of that growth happens of storytelling, a lot of growth happens in storytelling in the 90s. And when you start in 2000 with the new millennium, we have a totally different generation that we have to appeal to that may not just buy the week-to-week bullshit.
I mean, the 90s and 2000s, you have the advent of like shonen manga with things like Dragon Ball Z, where you have these heroes' journey stories that are, spanning hundreds and hundreds of chapters, episodes, whatnot.
And then we get Kuga, the most shonen fucking Kamen Rider we've ever had.
Yeah, with a lot of death. It's sort of like the Hunter of basically just Rider.
Yeah.
With just how much they just straight up kill people.
But, so, there was that transition between...
and then Agito happened. Why is he in a tree?
Kamen Rider had that advantage of taking that decade-long break to see where the media transitioned and how it grew in those 10 years and went, okay, these are the changes we need to make, where Sentai didn't stop. So they had to grow with it. So we got some good seasons, we got some bad seasons.
But at the same time, we also had the fact that they had Metal Hero running throughout that time. And then those other two shows that we don't talk about have with Metal Hero, they were just like, eh. And they brought a lot of the elements that they had in Metal Hero to Rider.
But that's what I'm saying, is that they had the chance to learn from the shows that were still going year to year as they evolved with the times and look, okay, this didn't work, this did, this is what's popular right now, and they kind of combined it into Kamen Rider to bring it the fucking return it deserved.
And getting back to what you were saying about storytelling methods, yeah, back in those days it was like the tune in next time, like, the adventure serials of Days of Old or weekly comic books. And then you compare that to something like the neo-heisei era especially, it's still that, but they're just stretching it out longer. Mm-hmm. And as much as I love a lot of those neo-heisei shows, WOs, they're some of my favorites, one of the problems I have with neo-heisei in general is when they stretch things out just a little too much, mm-hmm. We have to live the show 2 episodes at a time.
Yeah, that's awful.
And it doesn't quite work.
Which is why we were so happy when Gaim brought it back to pre-decade, mm-hmm. where we ended up having a much more serialized plot going on, and mm-hmm. Drive after the first 25 episodes.
I don't think some people may not understand this. When Gaim was coming out, and we just got off of Wizard, and we heard from, I think it was from Urobuchi, that there will be no Victim of the Week. It will be a series-long story. Marcus and I you could see the weight lift off of our shoulders and go.
We were so worried about it.
I was there and I can tell you it's true.
We were so worried about it happening again. That's what sort of ended up being the problem here.
Wizard really was like the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
In terms of the Victim of the Week.
In terms of the Victim of the Week storytelling, the not focusing at all on the hero, there's too many side characters. We have a plot, we have a villain that doesn't really pay off, and then we have another villain that says, oh no, I'm the real final villain, and he doesn't pay off well. And I know, going back to our bottom 10 Kamen Rider villains, a lot of people made the comparison, but they were playing Gremlin like he's like Ted Bundy, real psychopaths. They act like normal people, but underneath the surface, they're monsters. Evil. In this show, it didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work for us.
This didn't work.
It was so weird because of the fact that with Gremlin,
you are correct, but in this show, it didn't work
because from a storytelling standpoint.
At the beginning,
from a storytelling. Shut up. From that standpoint, as a viewer, it just feels like it came out of left field. We had no previous indication of
this is what he was going to be like.
Yeah, and I know in real life, serial killers don't do that, or they would have gotten caught. Yeah. I get that, but this isn't real life. This is a story. If you don't want to feel like the plot twist came out of left field and slapped us in the face and served no purpose, give us something.
It's the antithesis of the psycho twist.
It's like in fucking Sixth Sense, one of the greatest plot twists ever, where Bruce Willis is actually a ghost. There are clues. No one talks to him, really. No one interacts with him. My parents also said, coming back and watching this movie as an adult, the funeral scene with the little girl, the fact that nobody there talks to Bruce Willis wouldn't happen in real life. Somebody would talk to somebody they don't recognize at a funeral. So there are these twists. There are these little clues. That's all we needed for Gremlin was something.
And we didn't get that.
And like if maybe a girl who fit his type walked by and he just kind of went and he just kind of looked at her.
Well, we're going to save this. We're going to save that much more for the Wizard review.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got a little off topic there, but getting back to...
It's like, with the difference between those two, it's just like, you can see that there is such a stark difference between how they handle the Showa and how they handle the Heisei. It's like, at the end of the Showa, we got Black, and that's where we end up getting a lot more of the things that we see in the Heisei going forward. We start to get those serialized stories. Mm-hmm. We start to get those, interactions between the villain and the hero.
But why don't we end with where we ended with Sentai? What do you want to see in the next era?
First, I said this for Sentai. I'm going to say it again. I want them to surprise me. Do something I've never seen before. But second...
Ninja Kamen Rider.
He's not wrong. Do it!
That was for him.
Make the Rider Kick special again.
Thank you!
Make the Rider Kick special. Kamen Riders these days have 18 million finishers. And it's like they're all flashy and full of pomp and circumstance and CGI.
I'll give Build this. His ultimate form Rider Kick does have a point, so he's using it more.
Good.
Oh, we're gonna have fun in that till we talk.
I said it was a point.
Oh, I know, we're gonna have fun in it though.
It's a Deus Ex Machina if I've ever seen one, but still.
And
yeah, the Deus Ex Machina. That's all about execution.
Don't put out the final forms so
early.
Like Bill basically actually did this sort of correctly. They didn't do it until episode 40.
Yeah.
They look at Kuga, but they didn't use it until the last episode.
Kuga's final form just makes so much more sense having it at the end of the episode. But at the same time, he doesn't have a lot of attachments to his belt.
Right.
Yeah.
Because his belt is
in him.
Yeah.
So you would actually say he has the most attachment to his belt. Sorry, I had to say it. I had to.
Agito sort of did this at the same time because it was also, a part of him.
Yeah.
It's just...
But ever since then, it's just belt.
I think you could argue Ryuki didn't because he gets the belt because of a bond he makes with the monsters.
Yeah.
True.
Otherwise, he would have got eaten.
Otherwise, you'd get yourself eaten.
Something else I want to see. Make it so there are no real pauses in the fights. Or just don't let somebody walk away. That bothers me.
Don't contrive reasons for the monster to escape.
Yeah. Like, that's terrible. Come on now.
Unless it's like they beat them, they're on the ground, they can't get up, and then they walk away. That's different.
That's something completely
If it's like, I'm sparing you for now, learn the error of your ways, or if it's
somebody interrupts the fight and the guy goes, peace, no, fuck, no, excuse me, hold, time out, gotta go, bye. You're not going nowhere.
Or something like, if you kill me, then this other monster will do something terrible.
I would honestly like it if we had a writer that took something from Q Ranger, actually. Be more active.
Yeah, they were very active. Holy shit.
Yeah, they were extremely active, actually going out and liberating plans and things like that. Just be more active. Don't be so reactionary. Don't wait for
the monster to show up and start terrorizing the civilians.
Yeah, actually go out and really try to start finding them. They did this a lot at the end of Black.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I think that about sums up our thoughts of Showa versus Heisei with Kamen Rider and what we want to see in the next era. Let us know what you think in the comments below of Showa Heisei and what you want to see in the next the next era. And as always, subscribe, go follow the Nerd and Nile Twitch stream at Nerd and Nile 226.
We might do one, me and Jake, on Ultraman, although we haven't watched really any of the Showa ones. But I feel like we can get something still.
We might.
Probably.
Yeah, y'all might. But as always, thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.